I will lose at the Supreme Court. Is it not simply time wasting? Is it not time for us, if it's a presidential election, I said, if he won the full complement of the Supreme Court, if that's possible, but we know it's 7 that should consider it. They sit and within 2 weeks takes the decision, and the nation moves ahead.
Amechi, good morning. Good morning, TV.
TV will comment after. Go ahead.
For me, Amechi, I don't think this discussion should occupy our space this morning, because it's a discussion we would have had, or we'll be having, looking forward for a possible review of the Electoral Act going forward, because you can't change anything now. The processes will continue as it has been established by the Electoral Act until there's a review of that document. You cannot change with the 180 days, in the 90 days, and in the Supreme Court. So we'll look to see who becomes the leadership of the National Assembly, if that will be something that they want to take up, the review of the Electoral Act, and we'll now begin to make suggestions for them to make this adjustment, and including my own passion for the independent candidacy appeal that I'm making here passionately. Amechi, when you look at the crisis in the PDP, one would say that moles have been planted in the PDP to create the PDP's downfall. And
moles from where?
Yeah, moles are
planted by who?
Politicians plant moles everywhere, and even in the APC you have PDP moles they're planted to see how they can create crisis. And with the Ayu saga, I was reading a statement from him saying that he's going to challenge his suspension. A statement by his head of communication, saying that he's not going to just step aside like that. He's going to challenge his suspension. When we look forward to see how they resolve this issue going to Imo election, we hear that Hijoha has stepped down as an aspirant to the election, and so many other elections, off-season elections coming up. And should the PDP allow itself to crumble, as TV is saying here, that probably they want to crumble, or they
is that what he said?
Because if some people's political journey will end if the PDP goes under, because some have vowed that they can't see themselves, or they don't see themselves going to join any other political party apart from the PDP. And APC as well has created a niche for itself in Nigerian political demography, that it is growing, and just like the Labour Party too is growing, as TV is alluding to. And what we want is internal party democracy, and let them have their ideology, so that all these kind of crises can be resolved. I know that the PDP has an institute that they pride themselves of having, and you have an institute, Democratic Institute, and how comes you still have these challenges staring at you in the faces? You are supposed to be able to be what do you call it now? An example for most African countries to come and learn from you. If you pride yourself to be a big political party, you have an institute that can help smaller political parties solve their internal crisis.
But there's this, if you look at the power balance and configuration in the National Assembly, yes, for the Senate, the APC has majority. A simple majority, not absolute or two-thirds majority. But in the House of Representatives, for the seats declared so far, the number of seats controlled by the APC is less
than the general opposition.
The number of the seats controlled by the other political parties. Now, if other political parties come together and hold their rank, they have a simple majority over the APC. Now, the issue is to what extent, and that may explain why Teve was talking about what the Labour Party reached, the conclusions they reached yesterday when the executive of the party and the presidential candidate met with their members elected in the National Assembly. Of course, we are in Nigeria. We know how lawmakers defect with ease, as it were. Even the one that defected in Adamawa State House of Assembly
lost his seat.
But they know what they are doing. By the time you are going to court, and to get up to the Supreme Court, even if the High Court and the Court of Appeal says you have lost your seat, they will remain put. They remain seated till the Supreme Court. So by the time it gets to the Supreme Court, the tenure has expired. We have to devise means with a view to dealing with this. But there's a challenge for the APC in the National Assembly over choice of principal officers and even presiding officers. If they don't put their house in order,
yes,
they may miss it.
You know, before TV comes in, you know the Salisu Lukman, the Deputy National Chairman Northwest of APC, he's speaking again. And
he always speaks.
He's always speaking, controversially. And he's saying now that he's seeing all the people jostling to be leaders of the 10th Assembly, and none has made recourse to the National Working Committee. And I think he should explain further what he means by that. Like someone like Ojizo Kalu and all those are showing interest. Are they supposed to kneel down before the National Working Committee to say, I'm interested in this?
Perhaps consultations.
So something should exchange hand. Is that what he's saying? In
no, consultations. You can consult anybody.
Because Ojizo Kalu has gone to see the president.
Yeah,
and
yesterday.
He has told him that I'm interested.
Yeah, I think Ojizo Kalu is using the Tinubu template.
He said it's his turn. He said it's his turn.
Tinubu started early and said it's his turn. Went to see the president. It was after he met with the president, he came out and announced to the whole world that he was running. I see similarities in what Ojizo Kalu is doing. Because within the APC, for the presidential primary, many of them were waiting for presidential endorsement that never came. While they were waiting, Tinubu was digging deep.
Yeah.
Indeed,
Emiloko
on the ground. So I see what Ojizo Kalu is doing, trying to replicate that. Whether it works for him is another issue.
Indeed, we wait to see how all of that will play. But if those those in the APC, they know, they know where the decision will be taken as to the zoning and who the party will eventually settle with, whether the people have the confidence of the National Working Committee under the leadership of Abdullahi Adamu is a different thing completely.
Some people are already asking
I'm sure that's the reason why a number of them are not bothered yet to discuss with the National Working Committee, because at the end of the day, the National Working Committee may have an input, perhaps going by the rules of the legislature that they have to write in terms of who the leader of the Senate or the House of Reps is. They can't write who will be the president of the Senate, the deputy president, the speaker of
They can nominate.
They can only be part of the nomination.
The leader, the minority party, the minority leader.
So in this, in the issue of the president, Senate president, deputy, and all of that, is the members, every member
that will decide.
So. And those who are contested, they know that they don't only have to talk with their APC, they have to talk with the PDP people. They have to. That's what Saraki did in 2015, and he was able to get.
Instead of talking to the Ville or to the party, he was talking to the opposition members.
And he got the support. So, for if he sits in his office,
they are the ones that will vote.
They are the ones that will vote and will eventually decide. So we'll see how all of this will work out. Very interesting days. Coming ahead. But don't forget that for the House of Reps, there are 31 seats. So if APC picks, even if it's
10
they're already talking about 160 something, and all.
And if it happens otherwise,
so the balance of power is still there, moving forward. We will see how that will be. But Abulu, I think. We'll pick the lessons as we go. If we wait until we finish, because by the time we're finishing this electoral process, believe you me, campaign for 2027 would have started. So as we are moving, we'll pick the lessons that we need to pick from the process, and then all of those will consummate into what, if there should be an amendment of the Electoral Act or the Constitution moving forward. I mentioned in Kenya and in Guinea-Bissau and some of those other places. They don't have all these tribunals. Once it goes straight, and they don't even call it Supreme Court, they call it constitutional. At that point, the Supreme Court constitutes itself as a constitutional court, and makes that decision.
Of course, the Supreme Court is a constitutional court,
yes.
Because its judgment, it becomes law.
So that except we get to that point, that's why I said unless the constitution is amended. But then, if going by the kind of society that we find ourselves, is what it is. That's why even at some of the courts, you could have one judge presiding, but in some cases, it's a jury. You have three judges, you have 5 judges, you have 7 judges, and then you have majority judgment, you have minority judgment. In some cases, moving that because of the kind of society that we find.
Well, if for instance, there is need to amend the Electoral Act, the time to start is the day the 10th National Assembly is inaugurated, and it's a few weeks from now. So it won't be too early to start. If you want to amend the Constitution, we start too early. The president just signed amendments less than 3 months before he leaves office. Anything could have happened. So the earlier we start, the better. And to mind you, on November 11, that's some few months away, there will be 3 governorship elections in Kogi, in Bayelsa,
and
in Imo State. So any amendments, if we want amendments to the Electoral Act or to the Constitution to indeed enable successful election, it should start now. But what many have said, and also somehow said is very reasonable, is that no matter how you amend these laws, can you have a better Electoral Act than we have now? With all the provisions for technology and all that, what happened? That we need to also amend the attitude and behavior of those that drive the electoral process. The political parties that will not organize credible primaries. They will either share money and buy votes, or the godfathers will determine what will happen. The electoral officials, university lecturers who will be alleged to be manipulating resource collection, even National Youth Service Corps members, the electorate that is ready to trade his vote, every other stakeholder is involved in this electoral process. How do we reform and amend their attitudes, their conduct, and leave the laws and status for now and focus on the human aspect?
I want to just quickly, I think I want to encourage the lawmakers to listen to this program. I think we'll do our best to help them. We set the agenda for them, like what Tebe said yesterday. I want them, those that will be going to 10th Assembly, consider the proposal we made here, that we should create a national commissioner in INEC in charge of electoral offenses, instead of creating a commission to man that situation. And we are making another proposal here that they should consider this issue of 180 days or 90 days. I think they should jot it down, so that when they go into the House, they have their job cut out for them already. I mentioned before we read the mails, I want to also commend...
we'll read the mails, we'll come back.
There's a rare occurrence Labour Party did. They are refunding the fee paid by a governorship aspirant in Imo State who died.
To the family.
Yes, to the 25 million naira. And that is a rare occurrence in Nigeria politics.
And they reduced their
governorship fee
ticket
to
15 million.
Yeah, the late man is Humphrey Anumuda, who he died last week. And the Labour Party chairman said they are refunding the money he bought the form with. So I think that is a rare one. And some parties are raking in. The APC is raking in billions already. And